Jana is an educator in Holy Spirit, as well as with the U of L Education Department. Her interests lie in engagement, social justice, and literacy in the globalized classroom. I have had the privilege of being on staff with Jana for many years, and I know her to be innovative and exciting in her approach to education. She creates room for her students and colleagues with inclusive and open practices, and in the sharing of her considerable talents with the communities she is a part of. Please welcome Jana.
I had to hug Camille because that's nice, right? Nice things. The rest of the people who worked with me, who are in the audience, are like, "What, Camille? Who are you working with?" Well, this is very uncomfortable. I don't know this place, and I don't know a lot of you people. Oops. It's very echoey. I don't know. Okay. And I'm about to share some personal things. That'll be really uncomfortable for me. I'm gonna get vulnerable. I'm probably gonna show emotion, outward emotion. That's gonna be super uncomfortable. And I think, to be fair, I'm gonna make you uncomfortable, and I'm gonna read poetry to you, which is weird, because how often do you get poetry read to you? Not very often, I'm sure. So let's all be uncomfortable together. I actually was reflecting on this a little moment ago, thinking about the word comfort, and come with and fort strong, and so maybe we'll come out of it stronger together, I hope. I'm just asking Bruce if you could press view show, then I can click through the slides, or however that works. View slideshow, is that how it's gonna go? Yeah, thanks. So yeah, and speaking of being out of my comfort zone, in the last few years, I've been stepping out of my comfort zone a lot, even more than I thought about when I started thinking about this talk. I was mostly thinking about how I've did some work on a Master's of Education in Literacy, and there was a lot of writing, and it was very uncomfortable, but there was a lot of stepping out of the comfort zone. I'm going to get to some of it, and also I'm thinking, we had a baby, and we moved, and I changed jobs, and oh my goodness, there was a lot of discomfort, and hopefully we came out stronger. In my literacy focus, I took an arts-based inquiry approach, aiming to attend to the arts as lived experience, something that we don't as teachers do. We tell our kids what to write and do and make, and it seems really fun, but we're not doing it. But I chose to live a life that intentionally perceived things differently, working in artful ways. And I've made a book. I did a poetic and graphic social fiction. I may have made that term up, but I was attempting to answer questions about how writing creatively, fictionally, could change my teaching. It wasn't all fiction, so I used the things I heard in my day and saw in my day, and I worked metaphorically to find meaning in those things. And so my former colleagues should also get a little bit worried, because maybe something you said is going to show up in my... Don't worry, I'm just joking. I'm going to just start with reading a poem from the collection, and it was accompanied with graphics called What I Hold in My Hand. Yellow, obvious. A message to the skeptics. A whisper of existence. an experiment of truth-telling, of me, through me, translucent. Behold my offering, like I do, peer at it from all angles, question its authenticity, its purpose. It cannot be put back. It is here and now, hot and here. I read that you can use this to start a fire in a crisis, directing the sun's energy right through the magnifying glass, igniting, blazingly, blaringly here now, irrevocably out now. What was mine is ours. For a moment, before I toss it over the fence, chain-linked, imagined distance, breachable frontier, we gaze. So if you remember the part where I said I was going to perceive the world differently, that poem came from the time that a student peed in a Ziploc bag on the playground. That happened. So clearly he had something inside of him that he wanted to share with the world, and clearly that was not the way to do it, but it made me think about that and how do we invite our students to share, and how do we teach them to do that safely and be vulnerable and be safe in their vulnerability. The writing I did and the research I did suggested that we start with ourselves, which is not very comfortable. My family, like many, avoids confrontation and serious conversation. When something's wrong, we politely pretend it isn't. Stepping out of comfortable meant that I couldn't politely pretend. I created a digital narrative, a mode that I'd never worked with, about a topic that was deeply personal. I created it for a course within my master's, and so I shared it with them. And it wasn't ever going to even be shared outside of that room where I was comfortable, but with their encouragement, I shared it with my family, my husband and children, and my brother and sister-in-law, and my mom and dad. And it started a conversation about something we had previously never talked about. This was about 2 years ago. I'm going to share it with you. Oops, you guys are getting a sneak preview of life ahead. Okay, I might need your help, Bruce. That's a video. Could you mouse, I don't know how to do it. Could you mouse over it? And press the play button? No, not there. I don't think, does that work? I think the red, yeah. Oh, can you back it up? Because there's sound and I don't know that it's connected, and that's important because it's a digital narrative. I don't know if I remember the script. There's still not sound. Do you think so? Do you want me to sing a song while we wait? And then we'll be really uncomfortable. After Mass on Sunday, my family would sometimes go to town for brunch
or go for a drive on the grid of country roads surrounding Picture Butte. There were no movie players in cars, no handheld devices. Instead, we listened to my mom hum tunes from the Catholic Book of Worship, 2nd edition, or my dad sing songs of another time. I would strain to decipher the meaning of limes and coconuts and commit to memory lyrics of boxes made of ticky-tacky. We watched the wheat fields blur past, smelled the feedlots come and go. Usually the gravel maze led to my dad's hometown Enchant and his eldest sister Shirley. Visiting our family, baseball in the yard, checking calves, playing Atari, watching the adults play crib at the basement bar would result in a late night and a dark, eternal drive home, as all drives are when you're 6. When we finally entered our town, the glow of streetlights would rhythmically reveal glimpses of the beige interior of our Volvo station wagon, and my mom, dad, and brother viewing the quiet of our neighborhood as we approached home. And then why does my mind hold fast to one uneventful event of this familiar and repeated scene from decades ago? Just one scene where the orange streetlight stirred me to wake, stare out the window like the others. I remember that when we turned at the Androns, past the Gurgles, and into our carport, I quickly slumped to the side and closed my eyes. The humming car engine sighed, stopped, as my brother looked over at me and announced indignantly, "Dad, she's faking it." Though angry with him for revealing my truth, I chose not to fight. Feigning slumber with fluttering eyelids, I waited expectantly for Dad to scoop me up and haul me to bed. Doors slammed shut. Murmurs of Michael's plight for justice continued outside the car. I nervously stayed in character, in darkness, hoping my efforts had not been ruined. And oh, the certain relief when my car door opened and big arms gathered me up. I collapsed into my hero dad as he carried me to the house, pleased with all that was. Of course he must have known I was not really asleep. One of those secrets grown-ups keep for us so we can be their children for just a little bit longer. A silent exchange of devotion granted, of peace in life rhythms and roles. Now, as I am a grown-up with a child of my own, I cling to this memory that visits me again as a knowing that love is an action. It's a look and a being there and taking joy in the privilege. I'm trying to hold this close as I watch my dad losing his words. Though I mourn for ideas of the songs and games that may not belong to my son, he need not know his grandpa for his vocabulary. My son will know his grandpa for calm, presence, and patience. My Sasha will know his grandpa from the delight in his eyes fixed directly on him, and for his wide laugh, dappled in golden feelings and doting wonder at his grandson. These things have no words, need no words. But it is still tough to accept. My dad doesn't want to discuss the loss of his language, and I don't mention it either. It's one of those secrets we keep so they can be our dads for just a little bit longer. A silent exchange of devotion granted, of peace in life rhythms and roles.
Now what? Am I able to mouth? I am. I'm slowly moving it. Can you click the slide or however it is? Does it have to go back? Okay, there we are. Finally, I'll share a poem I wrote about life writing and another one of my leaving my comfort zones, an activity which I've been doing that's drawn me into new comfort zones, weightlifting. So much pain today. My right trapezius, I know its name. I've been lifting weights, a new thing, like with a trainer. Never was an interest of mine. Still funny to think this is what I do. I mean, I have exercised, but this is like a culture. 4 mornings a week with bodybuilders. They're even my Facebook friends, posting congratulations on your PB, saying reps, AMRAP, and I understand them. Convenient time for a teacher and mom, 5 a.m. My friend said she'd pick me up at 4:45. I lied, sounds good. I had been carrying extra mass, from having a baby and eating chips. We thought we'd go 2 or 3 times a week. Paid 3 months, that was a year ago. Now it's 4 or 5 times a week. At first, we looked like that 80s movie, Police Academy, only 2 push-ups at a time, couldn't even hang from the bar to try a pull-up. With support, this rainbow of stretchy bands, we practiced. Now, 8 chin-ups in a row, 10, 12, can't wait to try it again. It's getting easier. I do things called power cleans. It's how I strain my trapezius. Snatches, push presses. On Thursday, I deadlifted 235 pounds. Always surprises. Strength waiting to be revealed, toned. I'm going backwards. And that's how it's been life writing. Dad lost his words to something called aphasia. Denying our relationship, his identity was changing, didn't really hurt. Denial insulated, knowing in layers of blubber and sick. I witnessed strangers assume him to be mentally inept, unaware that he holds an enormous vocabulary, a graduate degree, feisty political arguments, and obscure lyrics to a soundtrack spanning decades. In his moments of frustration and confusion, our identities being so entwined in words, in his moments of acceptance, the expression of vulnerability, being secure in disclosure of truth. Strains and burns, identify what that ache was, name it. A trapezius, right? Sometimes jarred by sharp pain. Searching on the internet about my trap, rest it. Or a list of exercises to strengthen it, so work it more, find a weak spot, work it, hurt it more, till it's easier, till it's stronger. I have a probably unhealthy obsession with the fat and wrinkled skin on my gut. Every day I write, I grab at my belly, and each day much but less. I can keep going little by little. There will be much but less. I write to work memory, understanding of my dad's identity. Knowing him in this not knowing helps me relate in this time, in this place. With exercise, my teaching practice stretches, builds. If my trainer was less than fit or had once tried these exercises as a teenager but no more, how would that feel? I lift weights, heavy, unbelievable, often unbearable, regularly. My movement smoother, teaching authentically, honestly. Experientially, I venture toward closer understanding, selecting words, images, connecting points, the mode in which they are gathered, separated. I read moments closely, lived, imagined moments of mass and gravity, even at 5 a.m. Thank you for listening to those poems, and I hope you weren't too uncomfortable. I did okay too. No tears.
towards Jana. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being uncomfortable and sharing your wisdom. I saw it on Monday, and I was just as touched today. Could you please join me